I married James when his twins were 12. Madison and Tyler had been through a bitter divorce where their mother Linda poisoned them against any woman who might replace her. "She's not our real mom," Madison announced the first day I moved in. "You're just Dad's girlfriend who lives here." Tyler was even blunter. "My mom says you're a gold digger who can't get her own man." James tried to establish boundaries, but Linda undermined every effort. During custody exchanges, she made comments like, "I hope the babysitter is taking good care of you," or "Did the housekeeper remember to pack your lunch?" The kids picked up on her cues immediately. I worked as a substitute teacher at their middle school, which Linda saw as proof that I was uneducated and desperate for any job. When parents asked what I did for work, the kids would say, "She's just a substitute. She couldn't get a real teaching job." What they didn't know was that I had chosen substitute teaching specifically to have flexibility for my other work. I was Dr. Amanda Foster, educational consultant and curriculum designer. I had a PhD in education from Stanford and contracts with the Department of Education worth $2.3 million annually. I traveled around the country redesigning failing school systems and developing programs that were being implemented in thousands of schools. But I learned early that being a stepmother was complicated enough without adding professional intimidation to the mix. James knew about my credentials, but we agreed to keep things simple with the kids until they adjusted to our family dynamic. I figured once they got to know me as a person, the professional stuff wouldn't matter. I was wrong. The older Madison and Tyler got, the more they embraced Linda's narrative that I was beneath them. By high school, they treated me like hired help. "Amanda, can you wash my uniform? And make sure you use the special detergent this time," Madison would command. "The car needs gas. Here's Dad's credit card," Tyler would say, tossing it at me like I was a servant. When their friends came over, I was introduced as Dad's wife, if I was lucky, or simply ignored if I wasn't. James tried to intervene, but Linda had taught them that disrespecting me was actually loyalty to her. "Why should we treat her like family?" Madison asked during one family therapy session. "She's not our real family. She's just someone Dad married." The therapist tried to explain that families come in all forms, but the damage was done. In their minds, I was temporary help that would eventually be replaced. The worst part was watching them struggle academically while refusing my help. Madison was failing algebra. Tyler couldn't write a coherent paragraph. Both were in danger of not graduating on time. When I offered to help with homework, Madison rolled her eyes. "Why would I take academic advice from a substitute teacher?" "My real mom went to college," Tyler added. "She says substitutes are just people who couldn't cut it as real teachers." I watched them get failing grades on assignments I could have helped them ace. I saw them stress about college applications while I had connections at admissions offices nationwide. But every offer of help was met with disdain. Senior year arrived, and it was time for back-to-school night. James was traveling for work, so I attended alone to get information about their college preparation classes. The evening started normally. I met with teachers, reviewed grade reports, and learned about upcoming deadlines. Then I ran into Linda in the hallway. "Oh, it's the babysitter," she said loudly enough for other parents to hear. "I'm surprised James trusts you to handle educational matters." Madison and Tyler appeared with some of their friends and their parents. "Mom," Madison hugged Linda dramatically. "I didn't know you were coming tonight." "Of course I'm here, sweetheart. Education is important. Unlike some people, I actually went to college." She looked pointedly at me, and the message was clear to everyone within earshot. That's when Tyler made the introduction that broke my heart. "Everyone, this is Amanda. She's just the help. She drives us around and does stuff at the house." The group of parents looked at me with barely concealed pity. Here was this poor woman, clearly out of her element at an academic event, trying to play mother to children who obviously didn't respect her. Madison joined in, emboldened by her audience. She substitutes sometimes at the middle school, when they can't find real teachers. Linda laughed approvingly. "Well, everyone needs a job, I suppose." I stood there, humiliated, as these teenagers I'd been raising for 6 years dismissed me as hired help in front of their entire social circle. The ride home was silent. Madison and Tyler whispered and giggled in the back seat, clearly pleased with their performance. I drove home wondering why I'd spent 6 years trying to build relationships with children who saw me as so worthless. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Principal Henderson from the high school. Dr. Foster? This is Catherine Henderson from Westfield High. I need to schedule an emergency meeting with all parents involved in our new federal education initiative. I'm sorry. I think you have the wrong number. I'm not. Aren't you Dr. Amanda Foster, educational consultant with the Department of Education? My heart stopped. How did you? Your work on the Rural Education Reform Initiative is exactly what our district needs. The Department of Education recommended you specifically for our federal grant application. We're hoping you can help us redesign our curriculum. I've been avoiding taking local contracts to prevent exactly this situation, but apparently, my reputation had preceded me. Mrs. Henderson, this is complicated. My stepchildren attend your school, and they don't know about my professional background. Your stepchildren? Who are they? Madison and Tyler Walsh. There was a long pause. Dr. Foster, Madison and Tyler are failing most of their classes. Tyler's English teacher says he can barely write a paragraph. Madison is in danger of not graduating because of her math scores. I know. I've offered to help, but they don't think I'm qualified. Not qualified? Dr. Foster, you literally wrote the curriculum standards their classes are supposed to follow. That afternoon, Principal Henderson called an emergency meeting for all parents of students in the accelerated academic programs. Linda and James both showed up, along with about 30 other parents. Madison and Tyler came too, since the meeting was scheduled during school hours. Ladies and gentlemen, Principal Henderson began, we've received some exciting news. Our school has been selected for a federal education reform grant worth $1.2 million. The room buzzed with excitement. This grant will allow us to completely redesign our curriculum using the latest educational research. We'll be implementing programs that have been tested in districts nationwide with remarkable success. She clicked to the next slide, which showed my headshot and credentials. We're honored to have Dr. Amanda Foster as our consultant on this project. Dr. Foster has a PhD from Stanford and has designed curriculum for over 200 school districts. Her work on the Rural Education Reform Initiative increased graduation rates by 34% and college readiness scores by 28%. I heard Madison gasp. In the front row, Linda's face went completely white. Dr. Foster's annual contract with the Department of Education is worth $2.3 million, and her curriculum designs are being used in schools in all 50 states. Tyler turned around and stared at me with his mouth hanging open. What makes this particularly special, Principal Henderson continued, is that Dr. Foster is already part of our school community. Some of you may know her as Amanda Walsh, the substitute teacher and stepmother to Madison and Tyler Walsh. The room fell silent. Every parent turned to look at me, sitting in the back row. Dr. Foster has been working in our district part-time while developing federal education policy. We're incredibly fortunate to have someone of her caliber available to guide our school into the future. After the meeting, the hallway was chaos. Parents lined up to introduce themselves to me. Teachers I'd substituted for stared in shock, realizing they'd been treating a department consultant like a temp worker. But the most important conversation happened when Madison and Tyler cornered me by my car. You're really a doctor? Madison whispered. Yes. With a PhD from Stanford? Tyler asked. Yes. And you make $2.3 million? Per year, yes. Madison started crying. We called you to help. We said you weren't smart enough to help us with homework. I know. All those times you offered to help with my algebra, and I said you weren't qualified. Madison's voice broke. You literally wrote the math curriculum for the entire state. Tyler looked sick. I told everyone you were just a substitute because you couldn't get a real job. I'm a substitute. I substitute teach when I'm not traveling for federal education projects. Why didn't you tell us? Madison demanded. Because I wanted you to respect me as a person, not because you were impressed by my resume. But we didn't respect you, Tyler said quietly. We treated you terribly. Yes, you did. Linda appeared, having overheard the conversation. She looked like she'd been hit by a truck. Amanda, I had no idea. That the woman you've been calling uneducated for 6 years has more degrees than you? That the babysitter you've been mocking actually shapes education policy for the entire country? I, I was just protecting my children by teaching them that academic achievement is the only measure of human worth, by encouraging them to disrespect someone who is trying to help them succeed. The next week, everything changed. Madison approached me shyly with her algebra homework. Could you help me? I know I don't deserve it, but I'm really struggling. We spent 2 hours working through problems. By the end of the session, Madison understood concepts she'd been failing for months. This is so much easier when you explain it, she said. Why didn't I listen to you before? Because you thought you knew better. Tyler started asking for help with his college application essays. When he saw the feedback I could give, detailed, professional advice based on years of working with admissions committees, he broke down crying. I could have been getting this help all along, he sobbed. Instead, I was rude to you and failed my classes. The transformation wasn't immediate. It took months of rebuilding trust and respect. But gradually, Madison and Tyler began to see me as family instead of staff. The best moment came 6 months later when Madison got her acceptance letter to her dream college. I couldn't have done this without you, she told me, holding the letter with tears in her eyes. Not just because you helped with my grades, but because you never gave up on me even when I was horrible to you. Tyler's transformation was even more dramatic. He went from barely being able to write a paragraph to winning the school's essay contest. His winning essay was titled "The Teacher Who Taught Me About Respect." It was about me. Linda still struggles with the reality that the woman she spent years demeaning is more successful than she could ever imagine. But now when she picks up the kids, she's polite, even respectful. Thank you for helping them with their college applications, she said recently. I know I haven't always appreciated your contributions. Last month, the federal education program I designed for Westfield High was featured in Education Weekly as a model for rural school reform. Madison and Tyler framed the article and put it on the refrigerator. We want everyone who comes over to know how smart our stepmom is, Madison explained. James was amazed by the transformation. It's like they're completely different kids, he said. They actually listen to you now. They ask for your advice. They brag about you to their friends. They respect me now, I corrected, but only because they learned I have credentials they find impressive. Does that bother you? A little. I wish they had learned to respect people regardless of their professional achievements. But it's a start. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd revealed my background earlier. Would they have treated me better from the beginning? Or would they have been intimidated rather than accepting? I'll never know. But I do know that respect earned through demonstration is more valuable than respect given because of intimidation. Madison and Tyler learned that the people they dismiss as just the help might be the most capable people in the room. And I learned that sometimes the best education happens outside the classroom,